right, well, good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
It's nice to meet you all. I've seen you at a distance at the galas, so it's nice to get some quality time with this group. Also need to pop by the workout and see if I can actually get through one. So excited to get into that. So first time meeting here. I know I'm a complete stranger, but I have been a supporter of this NPI community since the start. I've had the pleasure of knowing Erica and Eric for, gosh, I don't know, a long time. My background before I got into what we're getting ready to talk about was strength and conditioning. So I met Erica's sister Raquel at the University of Louisville. I was a place kicker for football back in the Orange Bowl glory days with Michael Bush, Brian Brom, Coach Petrino, Laika Marhado. You know, we won games, so it was fun. And that's when I met Coach G with men's basketball as an aspiring exercise physiology major. Coach G, as you all know, he took me under his wing, and it was like best friends ever since. And then obviously met Erica and then Eric, and so the Ganong family is near and dear to my heart. I say he's my other dad. I'm sure he's other dads to a lot of people, so very blessed and fortunate to have come across the Ganong family, obviously Eric as well, and being a supporter of this community has been super important for me. I have family members that are dealing with Parkinson's as well. They come to the gala and they feel included, and just all the things that you all do together is just absolutely phenomenal. We'll touch on that in a minute. So my presentation here, it's kind of like MacBook, PC, so hopefully the technology holds up. So if you see me looking down, I gotta operate some stuff here. But again, my name's Steve Hartman. The index cards are there for you to take notes on whatever you feel like. I'll be giving you my information as well. You can have that down. So this whole group has been inspiring in a lot of ways, and the discussions I've had with Erica and Eric about getting in here is just an honor to be here, so I appreciate your time. So let's see if I remember how to use a PowerPoint. There we go. Feels like it's a high school project, you know? Yeah. I showed my wife earlier, I was like, look what I made. And she was very cool. So you can see this photo here, you know, the Red Gala, Red Tulip Gala. This was at the Muhammad Ali Center. How many, that was
2 years ago.
2 years ago. The most recent one have it just me and Eric, so I was like, I gotta get Erica in there. So I want to take a second and just recognize these two people up here. Never mind the dude in the bright red tulip suit. I tried to catch my game up to Eric's, you know. But like I said, I've had the privilege of knowing them for years. I've attended the Red Tulip Gala every year since it started, and I've watched this organization kind of grow from an idea or a vision into reality. And it's been super special. I've watched complete strangers, like some of you all were complete strangers at some point, to now you're best friends, or your family, or you're calling each other up every day, you're grabbing brunch, you're going to work out together. Bringing people together has been really fun to watch. So that doesn't happen by accident, right? I've watched people who felt like they've been alone for a while with this diagnosis, and I've watched people come together and discover they're not alone. There's tons of people out there that are willing to do anything and everything to help support in any way possible. And bringing people together takes voices. Those voices started with Erica and Eric. So I just wanted to thank them for everything that they've done. Not only just bringing me in as well with open arms, but just everything that they've done as a whole. So just a real quick round of applause for Erica and Eric. It's been super, super exciting to just witness the growth and the building as well. Did you guys see the printouts of what that building's doing? That's absolutely incredible. Absolutely mind-blowing. So just a quick thank you. So this is me and my wife. We have our 15-month-old. He's way different than now. He's running around, walking, just curious about everything, and what a blessing. I'm a first-time dad. We got married 2 years ago, and he was actually born on our 1-year wedding anniversary.
Oh.
We were headed to our wedding anniversary brunch, and my wife said, "Oh, caught a cramp." And so
Away we go.
So away we go. We actually, it was at Baptist right down the street. So he's been an absolute blessing to us, and my wife as well. Great friends with Erica, and they actually came down to Miami with me, celebrated my birthday. There's only a handful of people that I would want to spend a week in Miami with, and they obviously are at the top of the list. So as you can see, this is my family. I get asked all the time, "Steve, like, you were a head strength coach for 15 years. Well, why insurance?" Like, that just, doesn't exactly roll off the tongue. It was like, oh, what a great career shift, So, and honestly, my answer isn't insurance, it's what you're looking at. It's family. And it's what you all have, which is family. And, I'm a husband, I'm a dad. When my son was born, my parents, they always told me, "Steve, you'll recognize one day, you'll learn one day, and it'll hit." And it gave me the biggest uppercut hit. I felt like I just got punched by Mike Tyson or something, and I recognized real quick what they were talking about. And when my son was born, everything changed. Suddenly it wasn't, "Hey, what happens to me?" It was, "What happens to them if something happens to me?" And that changed my whole perspective. I don't know what I don't know until you know it. And once you know it, you can't forget it. You can't unsee it. So welcome, y'all. Come on in. Good to see you. Thanks for coming in. So that's why I do what I do now, is building relationships with people, helping them navigate hard, uncomfortable conversations, but to also bring them comfort in realizing there's a lot more out there than they may think. And that's, to me, something that every family should have the right to be able to do. So these conversations, I've sat across kitchen tables, families after life changed overnight. A lot of these things that happen are not exactly planned or on your radar of, oh, let's let this happen. When it does happen, life changes. And sometimes because of illness, sometimes because of unexpected loss or things like that, those conversations are ultimately what changed me. And I realized preparation on all of these things isn't about like expecting the worst. It's really about showing one more way that we love the people that we have in our lives, that they can count on us. So that is that. So we're looking at Parkinson's, obviously, here. It doesn't affect just the person with Parkinson's. There's a ripple effect. It affects your family, your income, retirement, caregiving, things with your home, independence that you may have. When someone hears the words, "You have Parkinson's," only one person receives that diagnosis, right? But everybody receives the impact that Parkinson's has. Everybody involved, your spouse, your kids, friends, grandchildren, employer or employees, colleagues, your daily routines, everything changes. So, and if you're a caregiver as well in this room, your life changes as well. So you become the scheduler, the cheerleader, the supporter, the cook, the cleaner, all of the things. So the person that really stays strong, in addition to the person with the diagnosis, is the caregiver, and we'll touch on that as well here in a second. So if you're a caregiver, really quick, just raise your hand for me. Perfect. Just a round of applause for the caregivers really quick. Unseen heroes, as I like to say. Just seeing what you all do on a daily basis, it makes a huge, huge impact on your world, and I know it's for an extreme positive for the person in your household diagnosed with Parkinson's. So you all deserve a recognition for sure. So the hidden cost here with Parkinson's, obviously, it's not just the medications, but it's how many appointments do you have to get to? What's happening with our schedule? How much time do I need to have this, and this? If you're grandparents or if your friends are having things, schedules, I know what my schedule is like with just one 15-month-old baby. My parents are now retired, and their schedule, I need to plan 3 months in advance because they have all these things, all these groups, and I love it that they're out and about doing things that they love, and they're seeing their friends. And movement is medicine for all the right reasons, and it gets them out and about. Plus, they have a dog, and they're like, "Oh, I'm walking the dog. We're too busy." I'm like, "Geez, you can't take a call from your son." Like, so anyway. When most people think about Parkinson's, they think about medical bills, but that's only one piece. Obviously, there's transportation that's needed. There's the missed work that comes up with these new challenges that you're navigating, reduced income, maybe some home modifications due to movement availability within the home. You need equipment, and then just overall energy, stress, sleep, those types of things. And when something else happens, maybe the caregiver gets sick, maybe retirement comes earlier than expected, and maybe income changes like overnight. So the financial side becomes just as overwhelming as the medical side. So that's why we're talking about what we're getting ready to dive into, not because we're trying to predict the future or anything, but because I want to make sure families have choices instead of a bunch of surprises, which obviously comes with the diagnosis. So I'd like everyone to just think about one question really quick. You don't have to say it out loud, just think about it. If something unexpected happened today, tomorrow, next week, would your family have more questions or would they have more answers? So if you have, if you want to write that down and you think about it, you can bring it up later on, but that question, I just want you to think on that and come back to that later on, okay? So the caregiver, like I mentioned, the strongest people are often the ones carrying the heaviest load. Quick thank you again to the caregivers that were in this room. Just want to take a couple minutes talking about these are the people I feel sometimes get overlooked. Not saying, there's a priority of the person with the diagnosis or caregiver, but sometimes you're kind of in the shadows. So I just want to give you some attention on that. So if you looked around the room, right, you're surrounded by people who understand what you're carrying. All of the caregivers, all the people with the diagnosis, you understand. And being a caregiver isn't just helping somebody with normal daily activities. It's the late nights, right? Like me being a parent, I'm understanding you're on Eastern Standard, your child's time. And that's people ask me, how much do you work? I say dark to dark. There's no hours because you're required when you're called on. And similar case within the caregiver side, you're required when you're called on, right? So you're never off work, you're always on work, which is loving the person that is in your household to help them do what they need to do and enjoy life. So helping someone stay encouraged as well is not easy, from coaching. Coach G, as you all know, who doesn't know Coach G? Everybody here knows Coach G? Good. So I'm sure you all have seen maybe some of the YouTube highlights of him on the bench with Louisville basketball and just, the biggest cheerleader of all time, right? That energy doesn't just arrive. There's true love, there's true passion, there's just a love that is undescribable, and that's what you all within the caregivers give to your spouse or your loved one with the diagnosis. Many caregivers tell me like, I don't really think about it anymore. It's just the norm. You do the necessary, and that's something that I understand. You do the necessary, and I'd like to challenge you with that thinking today though, because if something happens to the caregiver, the entire family changes overnight, right? You would think. So who drives the person with the diagnosis to the appointments? Who who cooks, who helps with the daily activities, who just kind of keeps life moving along where it needs to go. So sometimes the greatest financial risk in all of this is obviously the person not with the disease, it's the person that's the caregiver. So I believe caregivers are some of the strongest people I've ever met, wholeheartedly, through and through. But even those strong people need something to think on to make sure, God forbid something happens, you're taken care of. So initially with protecting the home, we're getting into things like mortgage protection. And there's a few things that I'd like to clear up. You see the kind of bullet points here. There's homeowners insurance, obviously that protects the home. PMI, private mortgage insurance, that protects your lender. And mortgage protection obviously protects your family. So people tell me, Steve, I've already got homeowners insurance, or I already pay mortgage insurance, and that's great. Those things do completely different jobs. So we'll break this down. So obviously the homeowner's insurance, that's gonna protect the home if anything happens to it, like if there's a fire, if we have a tornado, if there's hail, I didn't realize we live on a major fault line.
Yeah.
That was new to me. It's like, oh, so earthquakes. So add that to the list, right? It's obviously incredibly important to have homeowners insurance, but it doesn't make your mortgage payment because your house had a fire, right? Or burst pipes or anything like that. So it doesn't replace your paycheck. It doesn't provide money to your spouse if anything happens to you as well. So now shifting off of the homeowner's insurance, PMI, that's private mortgage insurance. The part that surprises most homeowners is PMI doesn't protect you, the person. It's gonna protect your lender or your bank. So that way, no matter what happens, they're getting their check. So it protects them, not the homeowner, not the surviving spouse, not the children. Then what we're looking at, the last one, the mortgage protection, that is designed to help protect the family living inside the home, as well as your income. So depending on what policy you're looking at, and whichever one the carriers have that suits you, it'll give you funds that you can use to pay the home loan or your mortgage or medical financial things that may come up. So that way there's no extra burden on you to figure out, what do I need to do? Most of you all have seen a GoFundMe or donated to a GoFundMe, correct? Just quick show of hands. Sure. Yeah. So when you see one of those, what are your initial thoughts? Just open conversation for anybody.
Tragedy.
Tragedy? Maybe like two more.
Well, is it for real? Because
Right.
there are scams.
Correct.
Yeah. Legit.
Yeah. What else? One
They
more.
need help.
They need help, right?
Lack of preparation.
She took the words right out of my mouth. So when you see a GoFundMe, something abrupt happens and they need to act quickly. So the preparation side was, we weren't prepared, please help. The stuff online, like you mentioned, scams, etc. Who knows what's real anymore with AI, and that's why I was like, I need to do this in person so they can see I'm not AI and I'm not a robot. So within GoFundMe also, you're not, yes, you may set a target of what's needed, but are you guaranteed to get that? Also, exposure. How many people are gonna see this message that you're trying to share? Hopefully, a lot. However, if there's not thousands upon thousands, or you don't know an influencer online or somebody famous to put your message on their platform, you're not necessarily getting the main spotlight, right? So the GoFundMe side is something that does not guarantee anything. Also, you pay them a fee for posting as well. I don't know if you all knew that. And then you're taxed on that. So now, yes, you put out a request request for, I need $100,000, you're walking away, even whatever end up, let's say you make it to 25,000, you're not taking that home. It's gonna be less. And then also, how long does it take to get to that point? It's not just gonna arrive at 25 grand overnight, it may take some time. So things to factor in. So the purpose of all this isn't to protect the loan, it's to protect the people attached to the loan, which is obviously us, all of us. Everybody here has a home, I have a home, I need to make sure anything happens to me, my wife and my son don't have anything to stress about. So let me ask, before today, how many of you all thought PMI or homeowners insurance protected everything involved with the home? Just curious, quick show of hands. Well, this is the most educated group I've ever had. That's incredible. I need you all to go around and spread the word like I'm trying to. You guys are gonna be helping me out big time. So the reason I say that is that's one of the biggest misconceptions that I hear when I visit with people. I tried to schedule multiple visits with Eric and Erica earlier. Right now, I'm visiting with about 300 families a week. So it's roughly, it'll add up to about 16,000 families a year. So with me here locally, I prefer to do my visits in person for all the right reasons, but everybody remembers back when COVID hit, everything changed, right?
Yeah.
So I do these also virtually because I am licensed in all 50 states. So there's lots of different time zones and I can't exactly drive to Hawaii. So it's not just the state of Kentucky, but obviously within the city, I feel there's a lot of education and awareness that needs to be brought up so people understand what they have available, strictly educational. So, okay, what actually pays the mortgage? Very simple question with a very simple answer. Your income pays the mortgage. So if you protect your paycheck, you protect your family. So with all of that, whether that income is going to be coming from your work or your Social Security or a pension or retirement savings, investments, whatever you have, that's what is going to keep the lights on in your house. That's what buys the groceries, that's what pays your property taxes, that's what keeps the home the home. So now imagine the caregiver can no longer work for whatever reason. Or imagine the person with Parkinson's has to retire early, obviously way earlier than expected. Nothing about the mortgage changes in any of those scenarios. So the payment's still due when it's due. That's why protecting the income is at most times way more important than protecting the house. So without the income, if the income stops, then everything else obviously gets harder. So living benefits. Has anybody heard of living benefits before? Just quick show of hands. Living benefits. New information? Okay, great. So 3 simple things: heart attack, stroke, cancer, and then critical chronic terminal illness. So the living benefits, obviously, this isn't something that we just plan for after life. This is something that we're dealing with currently. Parkinson's is something you live with. So why shouldn't there be something to help you while you're living? The living benefits is extremely incredible. So most families I talk with have never heard about living benefits. So this, just to confirm, nobody in this room has heard about living benefits? Okay. So most of the families I visit with, they think that this coverage or this protection or insurance, whatever you label it, only helps after somebody passes away. That was true years ago, but now all of these policies include living benefits. So if I didn't say before, I'm licensed in all of the legal carriers across the country that handle this type of coverage. So I can pull up no matter what age, what health situation, how many medications you have, what your current financial situation is, fixed income, disability, social security, whatever it is. Everything is legally, medically, and financially designed to be affordable for anyone and everyone, no matter what. And we can break everything down and show you which carrier will give you the best opportunity for what's important to you at the lowest premium possible in the country. So I don't wear a company logo. I consider myself a man of the people. I share my screen, I show them, hey, here's what we got. What do you like? And that's it. So obviously living benefits may allow a lot of things to happen. You can tap into the funds that you are eligible for and use those to help pay off anything that may happen to you if you get diagnosed with something, if something medically happens, if you trip, fall, have some type of accident, anything like that. You can then tap into this to make sure you're not using your assets like your retirement, your savings, sell off a car, or sell your national championship ring. I saw some people do that, like, you know, so you can hold on to the things that are near and dear to you and not have any worry. And with me in my position, my favorite thing to say is that I am able to contact the VPs of these carriers directly from my phone and get these funds expedited in 2-3 business days. Because obviously when things happen, there's a strong need to make sure that things are put in place very quickly. So all of these expenses, they could be caregiving expenses, they could be home modifications needed, it could be all sorts of different things. So every policy is different. It's based on everybody's unique age and your unique health. So there's going to be variations, of course, but everyone has the opportunity to qualify for something throughout our conversations. So my goal isn't to compare products because there's over 90 different carriers, over 4,000 different products. It's simply just to let you know that these options exist and you can ask, you know, proper questions. Okay, so planning, you know, for lack of a better word, we said in athletics, piss poor planning prevents piss poor performance, which I think Coach G added another P to it, I forget what it was, but he made it his own twist. And you mentioned earlier that the GoFundMe was somebody that was not prepared, right? So planning, like it says here, isn't about expecting the worst, it's about protecting people that you love. So I've never met a family that said, you know, hey, I wish we hadn't planned. The conversations I have are, I wish we had done this sooner. If you see the difference with those two. And you know, planning isn't about expecting bad things to happen, it's just about removing one more burden from your loved one or loved ones. And if Parkinson's has taught me one thing, is that life can absolutely change without asking permission. It takes what it takes. And we can't control every diagnosis, we can't control every outcome, but we can control whether we have a plan in place or whether we're prepared. And I believe this is one of the greatest gifts we can leave with the people that we love, is having a plan in place. So timing obviously is a huge thing now. I don't know what this thing is called, but if I didn't have it between my parents' schedule, my wife's schedule, daycare stuff, like I'm sure everybody has different color codes of what you have on your calendar. Technology has been a huge help with that. So something that's true for all of us is whether we're talking about our health or our finances, our families, like waiting usually doesn't create more options. Planning early is definitely the route. And one of the more common things I hear is, oh, we'll get around to it someday. You know, the challenge is none of us really know when that someday is. And none of us are gonna stay the age that we are. We're always getting older. Actually, my birthday's in 2 weeks, which I'll be 39. So I know that's not too heavy for some people, but I'm recognizing each birthday's, I guess, celebrations and gatherings, just they hit a little bit harder now being a dad and a husband, like, okay, we'll celebrate. So as we get older, our health changes, a lot of things change, our planning options may change as well, just due to age and health. It's not meant to create any fear with anything, it's just simple reality. Like I mentioned earlier, everything's based on your unique age, your unique health, but everybody is meant to be qualified for anything. I've never heard somebody tell me, I wish we had waited longer to understand what options we had. So what I hear much more is, I wish we had reviewed this sooner, so we could plan and position ourselves. So planning isn't about, like I said, expecting something bad to happen. It's about making sure your family makes the important decisions before a major crisis. So 5 questions here. They're all right there. I want to have everybody think about these. You don't have to answer them out loud, just think about them. Question number 1, as you see there, first bullet point. If someone in your household passed away tomorrow, would the surviving spouse have enough income to maintain the current lifestyle? So just think on that yourself. Would the surviving spouse be okay with all of that? Number 2, if the caregiver became seriously ill, who would step in? Question 3, have you reviewed your insurances that you have in place or policies that you have in place? And number 4, would your children know where to find these documents? Do we know where everything is? I had no clue where stuff was for my parents. My parents also never had policy reviews. I'm like, how do you not know what you have? This is super important. You're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars going straight to you in some form of emergency. So I had a stern call with Prudential. Like, what do you mean? My parents have been paying on something for 20 years and you've never called them? So that, obviously, as a son and a servicing point, life is never linear. What happens if they're paying a couple $100 a month on something happens to my dad, now they're tapping into extra retirement funds, that affects my mom and my dad. What do you mean they can't change what they're paying for? What do you mean nothing's flexible? So obviously you can kind of tell a little bit of passion struck out there. It's my parents, of course, but that's the same thing I bring with every family. What do you mean you don't know what you have? Nobody's contacted you. You're paying for this. Why is nobody talking to you about it? That was a little side rant there. But the legal documents, the retirement information, bank accounts, all of those things, do the right people know what these things are and where to find them? And last one, something unexpected happened tonight, tomorrow. Would your family have more questions or more answers? Do you have a plan? So those 5 questions obviously don't require anything other than just a conversation. So, quick family story. This is a hypothetical family story, not anything that's really happened, but let's call them Jim and Sue. So Jim is 72, he has Parkinson's. Sue is the caregiver, the spouse. She's doing everything, cooking, driving, medications, helping get dressed, moving around the home. She's doing everything that she can because she loves Jim. Then one morning, Sue has a stroke, a heart attack, trips, falls, gets critically injured. And now the caregiver needs care. So Jim obviously still having Parkinson's, the mortgage payment is still due. Utility bills are still coming, the groceries still need to be bought. Nothing about life stops. So the point of this isn't to scare anyone, it's about the reminder to the families that prepare for one risk while overlooking the other. So planning should protect both sides. So having that now what question is certainly not something that you want to have. And hope obviously comes from the preparation that we're talking about. Preparation will give you peace of mind. Everybody wants to lay their head down at night, having peace of mind, knowing when tomorrow comes, I don't have much to worry about. So when I think about planning, I don't really think about like paperwork or anything like that. I think I want to do what's necessary so I can have peace of mind. So I don't even have to worry about it. I don't have to think about it. And with Parkinson's, families already being asked to carry a lot. And some of those things are patience, strength, sacrifice, and then there's the financial uncertainty, but that also doesn't have to become a burden because of what we're talking about. So preparing doesn't mean we're expecting the worst, like I mentioned before. It just means if tomorrow looks different than today, our family won't have to start from scratch. So hope doesn't come from pretending life will always go according to plan. Obviously, hope comes from knowing we've done what we need to do. So when that time comes, we're set. Oh, I put a little, you see that? That was a little, didn't know I did that. Put a little graphic. So my challenge is very simple. I want to leave you with this. It's just within the next week. It doesn't have to be today, tomorrow. Sometime soon, just sit down with your spouse, your caregiver, the people that are important to you, children, whoever it is, and just ask these questions like, hey, what do we have? What do I need to make sure you have what you need? Where are the important documents? Who would help if something happened? What would we want other people to know? And those conversations may feel uncomfortable, awkward, but it's my humble opinion that these are some of the greatest conversations you'll ever have with your loved ones, for all the right reasons. So you don't have to solve everything this week, but just simply begin the conversation, that's all. So you're not alone in any of this, obviously, as we get ready to kind of wrap all this up. I want everyone to just kind of look around the room really quick at the people next to you, these people that you've seen plenty of times. Maybe it's your first time, maybe you spent multiple years, weeks, months together. I see in this room husbands, wives, grandparents, brothers, sisters, aunts, uncles, every title that we get the honor to have while we're here. And some of you might be volunteers as well, but this group is a group of people who understand what all of you are going through. And again, we touched on in the beginning how Eric and Erica brought this community to light, and that vision to reality is showing you all every day since this institute has been put together, the community that you have surrounding around you. So you're not in this journey by yourself. The NPI exists because people believe no family should have to navigate Parkinson's alone. And that is one of the messages that has been extremely powerful watching with the NPI. So community doesn't remove Parkinson's, but the community reminds us we don't have to carry this by ourselves. So what you can do, some takeaways here really quick, is what happens after today? All right, my hope is that everyone leaves kind of just thinking about things maybe you haven't had on the top of your mind. Maybe it's new awareness. Those are all great things. My hope is much simpler than, obviously it's a very simple slide. Just go home, have one conversation. Ask your spouse, hey, if something happened to me, who would be handling this or that? Do you know where everything is? Do the right people know where everything is? Review the plans that you already have. Make sure your adult children know where everything is as well. Those simple things cost nothing. It's a conversation. It can save your family an enormous amount of stress later. So why I do this, obviously my family, I believe every family deserves peace of mind. That's my main point. And some of you, This is my first time meeting with you, but becoming a husband, becoming a father, like I mentioned earlier, it changed me. It changed the questions that I have. I stopped thinking about what happens to me. I started thinking about what happens to them if something happens to me. And that's why I chose this profession after leaving. My full blood and passion was strength and conditioning. Obviously, having a mentor like Coach G and the passion he has with everything involved with fitness, leaving that industry was very difficult. And I knew at this stage of my life, I'm 38, like I mentioned, making a shift into a brand new world was going to be difficult. But I knew the mission behind it was really what was going to be my why and what drives me. So I'm dealing with 18 to 22-year-old athletes. They have their whole lives in front of them. Great. This population, like I mentioned, through Eric and Erica, hits my heart near and dear. Like I mentioned, also have other family members with the diagnosis, other family members that are caregivers. I see what the day-to-day looks like. And I knew if I could help in some way, shape, or form, I was gonna do my best to do that. So thank you again, Eric and Erica, giving me the platform here to at least share that. And as long as someone understands what protection they have available to them, then that's my mission. That's it. Help families make informed decisions before life forces decisions on them. So I think this moves too. Look at that, 2 slides with it a little bit there. So I just want to leave you with this final thought here. It says there, preparing for tomorrow is one more way we love today. None of us know exactly what tomorrow is going to bring or what it looks like. And if Parkinson's teaches us anything, obviously life can change unexpectedly. And Parkinson's taught, a lot for me. People are way stronger than they think. Way stronger. The caregivers, way stronger. You think you're tapped out with something, and then something like this comes up, you find an extra boost of energy and purpose and drive that you didn't realize was there. I found that out when we were expecting our child, and now you're, like I said, you're on Eastern Standard, your child's time. And with the amount of families I'm working with each week and throughout the year, coming home to also tap in to be the dad and find the energy for that. Where do you find that? You find a way, you figure it out. So again, you're way stronger than you think, and families are way stronger than they think. Caregivers, they love more deeply than anything I've ever seen. So all of this planning isn't about fear, it's about love. That's really what it boils down to. And the planning says, I care enough about you today that I'll make sure, God forbid something happens, tomorrow's easier. That's basically that. So if today just inspired you to kind of have a conversation around the table with your loved ones, then that's all I'm trying to bring to light for you. So that's my information right there if you want to write it down. Again, thank you, Eric, Erica, you all here today. All of this is just so awesome, really. From witnessing, I was looking through, this is from the gala, looking through it, there's endless amount of tables of people, they're all having a great time. That's what it's all about, right? Getting up, dancing, having some good food, good drinks, good music. I forgive anybody that heard me karaoke at the Muhammad Ali Museum, but that was a good time. So I just want to thank each of you. Thank you for sharing your morning with me and allowing me to be part of your journey in all of this. If you leave here and never remember my name or anything, that's totally fine. I just want you to remember that the people we love are worth protecting. That's really what it boils down to. So I'll be here hanging out for questions. The index cards, if you would like to write your name, number down, and you want to set a visit up where I can break all this stuff down more in depth for your situation directly, you can do that. I'll collect those, or we can talk afterwards. But any questions Yes,
Steve, can you walk me through the living benefits? Let's say, excuse me, let's say I have a stroke
correct.
and I'm out of commission
Mhm.
for 6 months. What does that living benefit look like? What
Great.
does it do?
Great question. So everything is based on your unique age and your unique health.
Mhm.
So we'll see what your maximum is. So typically that's a couple $100,000. It depends obviously what medications you may be taking, what your other health history is. There's a bureau called the Medical Information Bureau. You may or may not have heard of it, but anytime you apply for any type of coverage, no matter what the information is that you submit, that I basically type in what your medications are, what your health history is, so basically your whole life, the Medical Information Bureau is going to verify and validate that all that information is indeed correct, and then it'll let us know what total amount you're able to get qualified for. So if you think of, like when you get a job, it typically puts you through a background check.
Sure.
That's essentially what the MIB is. They're doing a background check on your medical history. And then they'll determine whether or not you'll be accepted for the coverage. So when I type all the information into the system, it tells me a range that you could get, but then we fill out the application with the carrier, the MIB kicks in at that point, and it's instant decision. So it'll let you know as soon as we fill it out, it takes 10 minutes to put together. So that's why, again, I can get to so many families because it doesn't take long. You don't have to do any medical exam or get a blood test or whatever it is. So if you had a stroke, or if that's something that you're concerned about, heart attack, stroke, cancer, critical illness, accident, those are the top 5. So you can combo all of those together or get one specific. There's, like I said, 4,000 different ways to put it all together. If you do have a stroke while living, you can pull from that policy that you've been approved for and use that to pay for any medical bills, living expenses, mortgage, car, grocery
Caregiving
bills,
for me.
caregiver, anything.
Okay.
And now you don't have to create a GoFundMe, dig into your retirement savings, sell assets, whatever it is.
Would that be after, like a long-term care insurance?
So this would be for the remainder of your life. You would have it for your whole life. So if something happens,
In addition to.
in addition, correct.
In addition to
Yeah.
the long-term.
Yeah, because it's pretty much just like a living life insurance policy. So usually life insurance policies, after you pass, this is a life insurance policy that you can pull out while you're living. Yeah, because I was gonna say, could you possibly even break down from even what I've seen before is like, you know, you will have a policy and you will pay one amount for this policy, but it can be a life insurance policy, it can be a living, you know, insurance policy,
Yep.
but then it's also a retirement policy, you know, because it's growing
Yep. Yeah.
as well, and so you can use it so many different ways.
Right.
That's what I saw with it that was super beneficial.
Right, yeah, great point. So also with this, you're building cash value. So it's not designed to make you rich, but if you need to pull from those funds, you can, for instances like what you mentioned. So God forbid something happens to you in an accident, trip, fall, choke, whatever, car accident, or heart attack, stroke, cancer diagnosis. Those funds can be pulled to pay for anything involved with medical stuff, as well as handling your just day-to-day livelihood. Handling the mortgage, handling the car, the groceries, utilities, property tax, and all that.
Is this a whole life policy?
So life insurance, mortgage protection, they're all under the same umbrella. There's living benefits with the mortgage protection. Obviously, death benefits is mainly the only option with life insurance.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
these are great questions.
What about long-term care?
What about it?
Is this something that you,
Yeah, so long-term care, obviously all of these policies, you're able to have for the remainder of your life. I think it goes up to 120, which, that's cool. You know, 120. But yes, it's for your whole life. If you need long-term care as well, there's riders to add on to it. It's super customizable. Again, everything's based on your unique situation and those 4,000 different options. When we put in your specific information about age, health, medical, you know, mortgage amount, all that stuff, monthly payments, what your income is, it filters it down to who's gonna give you the best possible approval for what's important to you. And then you
Steve,
can add things on. Yes,
at someone our age, is it even feasible?
correct, it is.
Is it feasible?
Yep,
Oh, yeah.
oh yeah.
I mean,
Oh,
we're
sure.
old guys, hey.
Hey,
In case you don't, this is Greg.
Right.
We're old.
So I just had an appointment, this gentleman was awesome. He was a vet or is a vet. He's 85 years young, as I like to say, and obviously retired, fixed income, Social Security, living alone, and he thought the same thing. There's no way. It's gonna be super expensive, thousands of dollars a month. I don't have that. Hold up. That's why I'm here. Let me show you. I pull it up, show him, and we got him a policy that protects his home loan for under $100 a month. So for him and his income at his age with his health, as you can imagine, the older you get, just by having a birthday, I literally put an addition on my own because my birthday is in 2 weeks. Just because I have a birthday, things change. I could be in perfect health. Never mind, you're also 85 years young with all these medications, with all these health issues. I mean, some of the things here, just really quickly, I can mention to you. I mean, geez, there's a laundry list. Kidney disease, liver disease, Parkinson's, heart attack, even things like gout, that may not be like super high things. People with depression, COPD, lots of heart stuff, cancer stuff, blood clot stuff, asthma. I mean, anything and everything you can name. There's most cases, it's not just one thing that people have. Maybe I have high blood pressure, high cholesterol, anxiety, depression, dementia, you name it, anything. And you can be older, no problem. No problem. There may be limited amounts of options due to that, but there's still options. There's nothing that is out there that nobody can't get something. So that's the main reason why I got my license in every single carrier in the country. So we have as many options to look at. And I'm not attached to any of them. I'm attached to finding a solution for the family.
You know what the average price of a nursing home is now?
Way more than a mortgage.
Yeah, I mean, I
Yeah.
don't know, that's why I'm asking.
Yeah.
The average cost of a
Memory,
nursing
for
home.
memory care, it's $7,500 a month.
Yeah.
Memory care.
Depending on where you go. My
Yeah.
mom was in the nursing home and she was paying $9,000.
Well,
Right.
my friend was in it, it was
What
10 a
was
month.
$9,000
Yeah.
then?
Skilled care is 10 to 12 in
Right.
Louisville.
So very expensive,
Mhm.
right? And all of these things are things that can be put into place to make sure you're protected as much as possible. So my main message is to deliver the awareness on that, so we can have that discussion if you'd like, and you can see exactly what that would look like for awareness purposes.
How difficult is it to actually collect? Let's say I have this living benefit,
Sure.
you know, because we have a long-term care plan, and a lot of our friends do. But the hoops they have to go through to get reimbursed or to get payment is phenomenal.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah.
what's your experience with that?
So great question. You know, when I get a call about a claim, it's very, it's difficult. I feel the difficult voice on the other side who's going through some challenging moments, and it's painful. But that's ultimately why I do what I do, is so that way they don't have to worry. They got my name, they got my number, they give me a call. I got the VPs of all of these carriers on my speed dial. They know who I am. I've built those relationships and trust. I call them up right away, say, hey, so-and-so had this happen. here's their policy number, I need you to expedite the funds immediately, and it's in their bank in 2-3 business days. Because when surprises do happen, there's a lot of things that you're trying to manage as quickly as possible, and there's a lot of stress involved. So the least I can do is take that off of their plate and do all of that hustle and bustle to make sure things get taken care of as quickly as possible. And that's been consistent for every claim call I've gotten. And the other side of it too is, we touched on it earlier, I didn't know what my parents' plan was. That's very important, because God forbid something happens to both my parents, they're in a car accident. Who knows any of this stuff exists?
And passwords.
Correct. So last year alone, there was over $7 billion of mortgage protection that went unclaimed. Because nobody knew. So it's of extreme importance that when something does get in place, you have beneficiaries, you have emergency contacts, and we have that conversation with them. There's no like major details, but hey, look, John and Sue got protection in place. I need you to save my name and number, so God forbid something happens to John and Sue, you know who to call so we can get the home paid for. Or we can get the medical bills paid for. We can get whatever it is paid for in 2-3 business days. Because we're not trying to have John and Sue's policy become a stat line of the $7 billion that went unclaimed last year. So now they understand their roles as emergency contacts and beneficiaries. Because if you don't know, then you're paying for money that is, are you gonna get paid out when you need it? I mean, ultimately, when things happen, your social security number, they'll like eventually it'll happen, but what about like when you need it ASAP Rocky as the rap song, right? So that's why I make sure everybody is aware of what their roles are. So these are all great questions, y'all. I could be up here for a while. So you tell me what else is on your mind with any of this, because there's no wrong answer or no wrong question. Because if you're thinking it, somebody else is probably thinking it.
I got a question. I think we've had long-term care since 2003,
Uh-huh,
and I want to try to start using it in-home care,
uh-huh.
and I can't get a hold of anybody.
Can't get a hold of anybody. See, that's the problem, right?
Yeah.
Who enjoys staying on hold with customer service for, you know?
I sent an email already to them and I've got no reply, so I don't know.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Who's your
I'm
carrier?
sure the agent I dealt with then is no longer around.
Yeah,
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
yeah, exactly. That's the other point as well. Anything I put this into place, you know, God forbid anything happens to me, you will also have the direct number of who needs to be contacted with the carrier, so you can bypass all of that mess. It's like this secret code that you get to call the right people.
They send you a bill every year though, right, Roger?
Right.
They send you a bill every year, right?
Oh, yeah.
Well, just look on that letter and see if there's not a phone number.
Yeah, there's no name on it.
Yeah.
other than the
No
company
name.
When's
Phone
the
number.
last time they did a review with you?
Huh?
When's the last time they did a review with you?
Never.
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 They don't do that.
They don't do
That-
that.
They don't do
Yeah.
that, yeah.
So nobody's reviewed like what your family would receive or what to do, how to operate, none of that. Okay.
I call mine every year and say, justify this amount. Tell me this, tell me this, tell me this.
So that's the other problem. Things all of a sudden get more expensive. Like, hold on, I didn't sign up for that.
Mine's fortunately has not gone up that much. I mean, it's gone up maybe 2 or 3 times over the whole life, so.
Okay. What if,
And it's got automatic increase 5% increase every year
Yeah,
on coverage.
yeah.
so the options that we, I say we, Department of Insurance, you know, the states, all that, everything you are locked in at one premium for the remainder of your life. So inflation, economy, government, costs of things are obviously gonna continue. Mortgage amounts, you know, and some people are like, I'm not moving, I got 2%. I'm not moving, I'm not going nowhere. Now, new home buyers, you're looking at 7%. So, nothing raises at any point. The only time it would raise is if you give me a call and say, hey, I wanna add more to the protection. And then obviously the price would adjust to the amount of coverage you're wanting, that's
So
all.
if you're locked into one premium, then your benefit is also locked in.
Correct.
Amount to, there's no automatic increase like Roger has 5%.
Correct. So your amount of coverage, say it's $500,000, it would be that amount of coverage for the remainder of your life at that monthly premium for the remainder of your life. It would change if you call and say, hey, I wanna decrease, life happened, we took some hits, we need to decrease our monthly premium, cool, we'll change it. Maybe there's an option to find something more affordable at that same coverage. It just takes some searching, because again, like I mentioned, there's over 90 different carriers that I'm licensed with. So maybe there's a better option now. But typically, I get you the best one possible to start. The only difference would be, are you looking at making changes when you're older? That changes things just because you had a birthday, that's all. But to answer your question, nothing would change unless you give me a call and say, hey, we need to deduct some just to save some funds, or hey, we wanna add more in. So you're not locked in at anything forever. It's very flexible because life is never linear. You can make changes at any point, up or down. It's just based on what your situation is. So, anything else?
Are you the only person who is working at this company?
So the company is the Department of Insurance through the state. And I'm licensed through all the legal carriers across the country that handle this type of coverage. Like I mentioned, there's over 90 different ones, over 4,000 different products. There's, like what Eric was mentioning, there's retirement solutions, financial solutions, mortgage protection, life insurance, living benefits, death benefits, the list goes on and on. So it's not just me. There's plenty of other, brokers out there. However, how many carriers do they have access to? And also, just like there's bad people out there, is that agent trustworthy? For example, Kyle Busch, the NASCAR driver, I'm not a huge NASCAR, I don't know much about NASCAR, I just know they go fast in circles. But he was famous for hiring an agent that knew all of this Index Universal Life policy information. Index Universal Life is a retirement solution where everybody has a 401k and it's attached to the market. The index removes itself from the market, but it follows the trends that the market is doing. But if the market plummets, there's a floor. So you don't go into the negative, you hit 0.5%. And then there's a ceiling as well. So if the market spikes, you cap at 15%, but over the year, you're averaging all positives, typically 7.34%. So Kyle Busch, multi-millionaire, NASCAR driver, hired an agent. They set up an IUL. The agent totally screwed Kyle Busch and obviously sued. They lost multiple millions of dollars. So I say that not to strike fear, but there's just bad people out there. So my mission is to make awareness come up with everything that we touched on as a very, very small bit. Not saying that there's bad people everywhere, but there's horror stories out there for sure. So what I do is come by, share my screen, break everything down, give you my name, my license number, you see my family, you got my phone number, you have everything you need to know about me. If I do anything wrong, I go to jail for minimum 30 years. And my wife would not be happy.
That would be very poor planning.
Do you have insurance to cover that?
Sorry?
Do you have insurance to cover that?
Yeah, right, yeah, exactly, yeah, there's a policy for that, yeah,
Your mortgage
might, might get a jail-free card from
Yeah.
Monopoly.
So
So,
are you an independent, you're an independent broker, not an,
Correct.
not an agent, but a broker?
broker, correct.
So you're not tied to any one
I'm
company?
not tied to anyone, anything at all.
But you're related to the state government?
So you are licensed through the Department of Insurance within the state. I have all 50 states' licenses. So I belong to basically the National Insurance Producer Registry, which when I contact people that request, so how do I get, you might be thinking, well, how does he talk to people in Hawaii? Who does he know in Hawaii? They fill out a form. Form gets sent out to them, they fill it out, it's handwritten, they're requesting the information, gets sent back to me, I call them. And when they pick up, they're like, oh, hey, yeah. Was waiting for your call. So that's how I have all those licenses. But yeah, when I talk to people, I give them my name, my license number, obviously, Department of Insurance, name, number, all that. They have everything they need about me because I'm getting personal information from them, so I just see it's only fair. Especially when it's virtual or over the phone. But being here locally, living here in Louisville, I prefer to do in-home visits, in-home or in-person visits for all the right reasons. So, great questions. I mean, seriously, I love this. So, yes.
Do you have any kind of a list to provide to help us to kind of assess ourselves?
Yeah. Yep. So when we set up a visit, I basically just get a full rundown, age, height, weight. I hate, my mother would yell at me if I'm asking women what their height and age and weight is, but like I mentioned, it's all based on your unique age, your unique health. So like when you go to the doctor, they typically, first thing they do, they take your height and weight. And they tell you to run around the hospital, do a lap, sit down, take your blood pressure. Oh, you got high blood pressure. Man, I just sprinted down here. Like, what are you talking about? So we take all that information, any medications that you're on as well, or have taken. So one of the main questions I ask is, hey, throughout the course of your life, have you had heart attack, stroke, cancer, diabetes, cholesterol, sleep apnea, anything like that? Any hospital stays within the last 2 years or so? And then fill that into the system. Then it'll spit out what carriers will consider you, and then we type in the amounts that you're looking to cover. So say you have a $200,000 home loan, that is a 30-year loan, you're paying $1,500 a month on, and your monthly income combined as a couple under the home is $4,000, and then we can figure out what options will be most affordable so that it doesn't take food off your plate or put you in a bind with anything. That's not the purpose of it. The purpose of it is to get you as much coverage as possible for the least amount monthly impact so that you can continue to live the livelihood that you've been having the whole time before putting something like this in place. So I hope that answers your question.
So does all of this springboard off of home mortgages then, or is that just one of the pieces that you can get?
One of the pieces I can get is mortgage protection. There's life insurance as well. There's retirement solutions. There's financial solutions. There's children. My son, I was showing Eric and Erica, we put a IUL together for my son, the Index Universal Life. So it's not a 401k. He can pull from it at any time. It doesn't have to be 59 and a half. Some of you may know 401k, you get penalized if you pull from it before 59 and a half. You also get taxed on it. So you may think you have, 50 grand, we'll just easy numbers, but after taxes and penalty, you're actually walking away with like 35. So how does that impact? With the IUL, my son can pay for his college. If he wants to go to college, he can buy a house at that point of his life, 18 years old. The way IUL works, average return will be about 7.4% each year. So if he decides not to touch it until he's 60, 65, he'll have multiple millions. Which as a parent, again, when we revert back to peace of mind, knowing that's there. You can make multiple. You can have one that's strictly just for college. Some do the 529. That is specifically for education. IUL gives you the flexibility to pull out of those funds at any point for anything without being penalized or taxed. So it gives us flexibility for any emergency situations that we may need for whatever case, or we want to use it to buy his first car or whatever, we have that option. So
Does
it's
does your son qualify for the Trump account?
he does, yeah.
What's the
Yeah.
Trump account?
They give $1,000 to the children born between 20 and
Yeah.
25,
Correct.
$1,000.
So $1,000, great. With the IUL, he'll make $1,000 in a month. I mean, sooner than that, but like,
Yeah.
so when you think of what is the economy or living costs gonna look like in 18 years from now, this IUL that we're paying a monthly premium on, my wife and I, it's not steep, it's like $50 a month. And it's following the market over the next 18 years. We have a non-guaranteed outcome, but the last 26 years, I was showing Eric and Erica this, the last 26 years, even with the housing market crash, COVID, other times the market was like a negative 40-something%. The same 26 years in that IUL, the average take home was 7.34% each year. So the gain was incredible.
What was IUL?
Indexed universal life. So that's again one of the variations of things that I have access to. There's also infinite banking, annuities, like there's a ton of different things where if you need to evaluate your retirement, we can do that. Or if you're thinking of your own children who are in their adult livelihood now, the main thing that I bring up is, yes, people have a 401k, Roth, whatever else. What happens to that 401k? Or, hey, I work for a company, they're matching what I'm putting in. Okay, what happens if you lose your job? What happens to that match? Typically, it doesn't go with you to the next job, right? So you lose that. So now, where is that gain coming from? Well, I'll get another job and they'll match. Okay, well, okay, what happens when you retire? Does that follow you in retirement? Or have life insurance with my work or whatever? Okay, great. What happens if you lose your job? What happens when you retire? What happens? I could go through 17 other different gaps that are with that. So with this, you own it. You have the power to make any changes either up or down at any point for anything, no matter what, when, where, how, whatever. So no company owns it, you own it.
So my concern is if something happens to me, I die, and Jim is left on his own, and he cannot function on his own. He can't live on his own.
Right.
So he needs to go into a home, and it's gonna cost us $12,000–15,000 a month. We have enough money to keep him there for a while. I don't have enough money to keep him there indefinitely. Between us.
Yep.
You know, he'll still have his retirement income, so he'll have part of it. But, you know, we're gonna need something to supplement to keep him in the home. What would be more feasible?
Yep.
Some kind of long-term care insurance policy, which he's 82, that's gonna cost him an arm and a leg. Or some kind of an annuity, which would supplement our income.
Correct. Yeah, great
To
questions.
make up the difference between what he was gonna draw in retirement and turn over to a home and what he needs to actually pay for the home.
Correct, yeah. So everything, that's phenomenal questions. This is exactly my goal with this conversation, was to just have these thoughts for all the right reasons in these conversations so you can have proper awareness. So
Which is more feasible?
what's
long-term
more
care
feasible
or
is to
annuity?
get the information from you all and put it in to see what carrier options you have and what those amounts look like, to see how long the long-term care rider would give, how much that payment would give, I don't know specifically because everything's dependent, like I mentioned, on unique age and health. Yes, he may be the age that he is, you may be the age that you are, but everyone is designed to have anything available to them. It's just a matter of what do those options look like. So some people may have a lot of medications, may have a lot of health issues, and the mortgage may not be able to get completely paid off. That's a real case. But you can find something that protects the home for a length of time, so you're buying yourself time until you can figure out what you want to do. Using the home as one example. So for instance, hey, we can protect the home for 3 years. After 3 years, that amount of money is now gone. The mortgage needs to be paid by somebody. But that 3 years is giving you enough time to figure out what you want to do and getting the proper things in place, if it comes to that. So that's case by case scenario, but to answer your question, you do have the option to get something. What does that look like specifically would be determined by us just going through the application and seeing what it says. But you do have that option. How long it would last, I'm not sure. But that's an answer we can get for sure. So hope that gives you what you're looking for.
Well, in our case, we would just need to substitute the home for the nursing home.
Right, sure. But also, how long does it take? So I also have my real estate license. My dad was a realtor for 30 years, so real estate's been in the family for forever. And typically, God forbid something happens in the winter, where do you think the housing market is
Down,
in the winter?
down.
Well, also, what's happening with the housing market in general? Is the market crash like 2008? What's going on with the economy? What's happening with people's jobs? If the home isn't positioned right as well. A lot of these houses I see are way overpriced. And the active buyers, I mean, everybody's seeing it. You're scrolling through Zillow and you're like, that house ain't worth that. What are you talking about? I wouldn't do it. So that reaction as well. Selling a home, unless it's positioned right and it's in the right time of the market, it won't sell very fast. It'll take time. Location is huge, current condition of the home, lots of different things. You may need to sell the home, but also what do the terms look like? Does the other person have to sell their house before they can even make the offer? How long is that gonna take? So now, where does your mortgage stand? Or where do funds stand in those 3 to 6 months, potentially longer? So these are all things that are real and they come up. So, but you do have plenty of options. Worst case scenario would be for a duration of time, but at least it's giving you that time. So then you can position yourself how you need to. So, any others?
Thank you.
Yeah, all right.